Here.
Okay. Caroline Bergen,
Here.
Sandaya Espita. I close? I don't think I need to close on that. She's not here, okay. Kristalina King. Trisha O'Connor, I can see her.
Yes, just what, my last name is misspelled, but I could update it later.
Okay. Shauna Menifee. I don't see Diane Ramirez. Greg Weston.
He's excused.
Okay. Jody DeLolo is here, and the secretary is not available. So we do not have a quorum, so we will not be taking any formal actions of the board at this time. I'd like to welcome our new representative, Caroline Burton. Caroline, give us a wave. There you go. Welcome
Thank
to
you.
the State Board.
Thank you.
Do you have any questions for us before we get started?
No, I'm excited to be here, kind of taking in. I'll see how this goes, but no questions right now. I'm sure I'll have later.
All right, very good. Well, you've all been provided a copy of the 6/29/22, 11/17/22, and 8/24 meeting summaries. Again, we can't ask for any approval of these because there's a quorum, but does anybody have any corrections to any of those that we can note, that we can bring to the board next time? Dave,
I do,
yes?
Duncan.
Okay.
I should have been listed as excused for the August 24th meeting. I was moving my son into college and I noted that.
Very good.
And
You'll
for
note
me,
that-
Trish,
Go ahead.
sorry, O'Connor, O-C-O-N-A, it has two A's. The first
Yep.
A should be an O.
Got it.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, we'll move forward to the next portion of our agenda, the department subcommittee reports, the enforcement report. Jack.
My name is
Jack.
Ernest Delaney. I will be filling in for Jack for this meeting, and I'll present the enforcement report on his behalf. This real estate enforcement report will be covering the period from August 2023, the date of the last board meeting, to the present. Over that time period, Department of State received a total of 202 new real estate complaints. During that same time period, we completed our investigation on 114 cases. The disposition of those that we completed the investigation include 24 cases which were closed due to abandonment or withdrawn by the complainant, 11 which we had designated as civil matters, so we did not get involved with the investigations for investigating the case. 20 which we closed due to no violation or no merit, which we saw with regarding the complaints. 11 which was closed as settled or resolved. 6 cases in which we had issued warnings to the real estate licensee. 12 we closed due to insufficient evidence. 2 we placed holds against the real estate licensee records, which would require that before the licensee renew, he address issues with us. 10 which would fit in the category of other because they were situations of no jurisdiction or duplicates. And 18 in which after the investigation, we referred the matter to our counsel's office with the recommendation of disciplinary action. Our current real estate complaint caseload is 181 cases. As we compare 2023 to 2022, we would see, based on the numbers, that we got a 28% increase in new complaints this year over last year. And we have closed about 76% of the complaints that we received over last year compared to last year's numbers.
Are there any questions? I just have one question for you, if you know. You said a 28% increase, 23 over 22. Was there any trend in what those complaints were, or were they just a broad spectrum of complaints?
A broad spectrum of complaints.
Okay, thank you. All right, any other questions? If not, we'll move on to the next report, the processing report. Emily.
Good afternoon. Included in the materials you were provided is a report of the number of current real estate licensees for November of 2022 and November of 2023. The report grouped the licensees into broker and branch office licenses and salesperson licenses. The totals are listed by county. The numbers between the years are fairly consistent. The total number of licensees in 2023 is slightly lower than in 2022. However, the overall change is about a 3% decrease. Overall, small.
Very good. Are there any questions?
Sorry, I'm late.
In New York, we have a new board member arriving.
Hi, sorry I'm delayed.
Welcome, Diane.
Yes. Hi, nice to see you.
All right, thank you, Emily. Any questions for Emily? All right, thank you. We'll move on to the next report, the examination report. Shannon?
The following statistics cover exams from January to November 2023. The real estate salesperson exam was administered to 18,663 individuals with a pass rate of 53%. In comparing the past 6 months to the previous 6 months, the number of examinees and pass rate has remained consistent, with less than a 7% increase in attendees and a 2% increase in the overall passing rate. For the real estate broker exam, it was administered to 1,163 individuals with an overall pass rate of 51%. Comparing the past 6 months to the previous 6 months for real estate broker, the number of examinees did decrease, but the pass rate remained fairly consistent with less than a 3% change. I believe the decrease had to do with the small increase we saw at the end of 2022 with education changes coming. Any questions?
Any questions for Shannon? All right, thank you. All right, we'll move on to new business, the New York Attorneys for Continuing Education. David.
Good afternoon, everyone. The first item is sort of just an update from our last meeting. At our last meeting, we had discussed from the department's perspective a question that had been presented to us about whether or not under the real property law, the new education component of education for brokers and salespeople needed to be taught New York State licensed attorneys or any attorney. There was a brief discussion amongst the members that were present that seemed to be leaning toward working on a regulatory proposal to clarify the potential ambiguity. Unfortunately, we didn't have a forum. The last meeting would be forum at this meeting. We're not really in a position where we would be able to vote to take specific action to move forward. So it's something that'll have to be, I think, tabled until the next meeting. The department understands from the last meeting what seemed to be the consensus of those present, which was to try to move forward with a regulatory proposal. And so the department, we will continue to work on that. And then, hopefully at a future meeting, when there's a forum present, we'll be able to present a proposal for the board to actually to consider to make a decision if that's what the board feels is in the best interest to make a regulation that clarifies that only a New York State licensed attorney will be able to teach those qualifying those courses, or would just any bar admitted attorney in any state do. So since there's no quorum, unfortunately, we can't really do anything else on that.
Thank you. Any questions for David? All right, we'll move on to the Education Subcommittee report. Tricia?
Actually, there was one other thing, I think, on the updated agenda.
Yes.
Which was the regulatory discussion regarding school student lists. So again, unfortunately, because of a lack of quorum, we're not going to be able to get a vote. But the department did want to bring to the board's attention something from Governor Hochul's 2023 State of the State, which was a proposal to ease what would be considered potentially as burdensome restrictions on educational providers, as well as environmentally friendly initiatives. And so as part of the 2023 State of the State address, there was a proposal by the governor to remove mailing requirements from schools. So as some of the board members may know, after completion of a course of education or continuing ed and regular education, the department and the board has supposed to be like 5 different regulations, which all require the school to send to the department actual physical lists of student rosters. And so as part of the governor's proposal, the idea was to no longer require those physical mailings, but just retain already existing requirements, which state that the schools have to maintain those roster lists for a period of 3 years, which would then be reduced to the department in case of audit upon demand. So at a future board meeting, it's our intent to present to the board for action so that the board will vote to amend those 5 existing regulations so as to, no longer require the schools to go through the onerous task of sending us these student lists at the end of every completion. So that's just something we wanted to bring to the board's attention.
Thank you. Any questions? Okay, we'll move on to Tricia, the Education Subcommittee report.
Yes, good afternoon. Considering global issues happening now, I think it would be very responsible for us as a board to just review our fair housing education that real estate brokers and real estate salespersons have to take. As a real estate broker and also as an instructor, I've taken numerous fair housing, cultural competency, implicit bias classes, and although there are great instructors and maybe not so great instructors, what I notice is the curriculum, I don't want to say the curriculum, but the information is very different in many of the classes I get. And I understand that adding implicit bias and cultural competency is something fairly new and is something that was needed, especially after what Newsday's report was and the constant discrimination and bias to consumers and fellow real estate salespersons. I just thought that maybe we should just discuss how this is going to play out for real estate professionals and just relook at the requirements. Now, I understand that the syllabus is the syllabus. One suggestion that I've had from before and is maybe have a standard education requirement across the state. Just for these particular classes. I'm not talking about other CE classes. Classes where Department of Human Rights and Fair Housing and all those agencies are coming together to create this one curriculum that is shared, that makes sure it addresses all the cultural competencies from many different types of people, all the fair housing. It's just that, like I said, I've taken numerous fair housing classes and every single one is different. Every single one is different. And I think we are not helping our agents and we're not helping the consumers to make sure that there's a standard education in this particular field for all of our agents across the state. And I think, if we take up this, other states are gonna look at us and say, you know what, at this time, they're addressing the fair housing, they're addressing the bias, they're addressing the discrimination. That's gonna increase. It was already there, but with everything that's going on globally, it's going to increase. So we're just taking a stand on it before, things get a little crazy. So I know it was a suggestion to put a subcommittee to just have further discussions on this. Neil Garfinkel, I took a fair housing class that he did not too long ago. It was on demand. And that was a great example. I mean, I think it should also have skits, because I remember taking CE years ago where they would have little skits to show the real estate agents, this is what you're supposed to do, this is not what you're not supposed to do. One example was a gentleman who came in for an apartment in a wheelchair. And the real estate agent said, you know, I can't help you, we're not making any accommodations, and he was all wrong. And then the second part of the video, it shows the consumer making a complaint or going to the broker, getting everything done, and the real estate agent learning that he can't do that. So having a standard, and like I said, by speaking to the Human Rights of Fair Housing and all the different agencies, they can put in their piece. I took one culture and diversity class. I must say this one was really, really good. And they talked about the way different cultures are, right? And how, you know, the respect that you give when you go to their homes, you know, maybe some things that they think is disrespectful, just how to interact with different cultures. And I think that would be, like I said, as a broker and as an instructor, I think us as board members would really be taking the charge at this point of what's happening in the world and really take a look at this and say, listen, we got on top of this as soon as it started happening around the world. Thank you.
All right, any questions for Tricia?
I do have a question. Tricia, is your intention for qualifying courses or for continuing education courses?
I think overall, like I said, I've taken numerous, I teach, right, as an instructor, but I've also taken courses and they're all different. And I just think all salespeople, all brokers should have the same standards. So if it's one standard course, like I said, the agencies create together with skits. As I mentioned, Neil had one that was standard, and the instructors play it. And we know that every licensee in the state saw that same exact information, and it could be for the licensing, and it could be for the CE. Now, other courses, instructors teach it however they want, their flavor, their information, they create classes, but these particular that deal with discrimination and fair housing should be for pre-licensing, CE, and be standard. And what you saw, so you could never say you didn't learn that, right? Everyone is learning the same thing.
So if you want my comment, I would recommend getting a few volunteers from the board to form a subcommittee. I would like to join that subcommittee as well because I have a million thoughts going through my head right now.
Awesome.
So yeah, if you want to maybe see.
Sure, well,
Yeah.
we can circulate, because we have such sparse attendance today, we can circulate a memo to the board and see who would like to participate.
Great, thank you. So the second one with me as well is blind ads. I did think that this is a problem sometimes. There are you have some actors, and this is not majority of the industry, but you do have people who post and advertise incorrectly. I don't know if it's an education or awareness. Now, Department of State does a great example, does a great way of giving a lot of information on how to advertise, right? So there are tons and tons of guidelines and checklists that the Department of State offers real estate professionals on how to properly advertise what they're supposed to be doing. But I don't know why it's still failing. Like sometimes, real estate agents may call an ad and they think it's a homeowner and it's an agent. Or you'll see a lot of ads and there's no company phone number, or the license name is not correct, and it's the consumer, the consumer that's affected because they don't know. Sometimes it's almost like a bait and switch. But also as a professional ourselves, when you have bad actors or people that do those things, our industry, other people don't really look at our industry as a professional industry because they see people who do things that are not quite right. And like I said, part of it could be an education, but I don't really wanna say it's an educational piece, cause you do learn it in real estate licensing, I'm a real estate instructor, you do learn it in licensing. Department of State does an excellent job of putting it on the website. I just wanna know what more can we do? Do we talk to the associations about, maybe offering more CE on what's the proper way? My real estate agents are mandated to take social media and advertising compliance, so they understand the guidelines, but this is something hurting our industry and hurting the consumers by not being able to identify that someone is a professional. In fact, there's a website, I don't remember what it was, but someone pointed it to me, and it's for homeowners, and real estate agents are posting there, right? So it's like, do they not know they're not supposed to do that because there's no indication that they're professionals and it's almost like a bait and switch? Or are they doing it and they don't care? And this is something that we just have to talk about. How can we get the word out to real estate agents? I'm not so into like just finding them, but we have to make sure that the people who are doing the right things are keeping our industry to the professionalism that we're supposed to be, and that the consumer is protected. Thank you.
Any comments or questions for Tricia on her last comments? All right.
I was gonna say, I think I think it doesn't hurt the department to send an email blast with information. We have the ability to do that. As far as the organizations and the schools, I think real estate regulations is some of the topics that are required for CE. So the schools can develop courses, they can get that information out. Of course, it's up to the individual who select to take those courses, but
Right.
I mean, we could consider taking the information that's on our website and doing an email blast, or even not even taking the information, link it to our website, important information about advertising. We can do that. That's pretty simple for us, and it can't hurt.
Okay, awesome. Great.
Remember, there's also an education and an enforcement issue, right? So if people are not following the regulations, there is another avenue that, whether they're doing it mindfully or they're doing it accidentally, it's somewhat irrelevant. All right, is there any other new business to come before the board? There doesn't appear to be any old business, so unless anyone has any last minute comment, we will adjourn this portion of our meeting. All right, we are adjourned, and now I'll turn it over to Dave.
Thank you. So pursuant to New York Real Property Law, Section 442I, Paragraph 6, in addition to the regularly scheduled meetings of the Real Estate Board, the board is required to hold one public hearing, at least in New York City, one public hearing in Buffalo, one public hearing in Albany. The purpose of these meetings is to solicit from members of the public, suggestions, comments, and observations regarding real estate practice within New York. So accordingly, pursuant to that provision, the public meeting is now open to any members of the public present in either Albany, Buffalo, or New York City would like to provide public comment or any information regarding real estate. So I'm just looking around the room. I don't believe we are connected to Buffalo. Any public members in Albany that wish to speak on this topic?
There are not, Dave.
Okay. In New York City, are there any members of the public that wish to speak and provide information to the board regarding real estate practice and the real estate industry?
No one in New York.
Okay. Having opened this meeting and inviting members of the public from Albany and New York City to speak, and no public members wishing to speak, this public meeting pursuant to New York Real Property Law, Section 442I, Paragraph 6 is closed. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you.
Happy holiday to all of you.
Thank you, same to you.
Thank you.
What do you think about the coffee?
Can you
Let's
not
boil
hang
it.
up? Lisa.
I'm sorry, did someone say something?
I did, the court reporter.
Yes.
I just need to talk to Mr. Mossberg and Lisa. Some
James
information.
on, Lisa's still on. Did you have a question about a name or a spelling?
Yes. We
How do you feel about it, Jody?
here. So,
You're not alone, I've heard this quite often.
hold on one second, let me just bump record here.
It's just making you stronger in the long run. Think of it that way.
Can you hear me?
It's just a little step. Well, have a wonderful holiday, everybody. We'll see you in a few months and
Okay.
Okay.
Hi,
What can I do?
Sam. Okay, so I need to see hold on, I need to see the room. In New York City, Delaney, can you spell that for me, the Delaney information?
Sure. It is Delaney, Delaney.
And the first name?
Ernest, Ernest.
Okay. Oh, who? Hold on. Who was the woman who came in late?
I do not know.
Was it Carol or something? Right there.
Carol, we can't hear you. You're muted. Somehow the room is muted. Ernest,
Is that
can
Carol
you
or
hit the
Burton?
button? There we go.
No, this is Burton. Okay. Black and white sweater? No.
We can't hear you, New York City.
Nope.
Diane Ramirez, Diane. That was a great idea. Thank you. Ramirez, R-A. I can't see it. Where'd she go? No, you got to talk, Diane, or it won't come to you.
Talk even though we can't hear you.
It's Ramirez.
R-A-M-I R-A-M-I-E-R-Z? R-E-Z?
Yes, she's nodding yes.
R-A-M. Okay. R-A-M-E-R-I-E-Z, I think. Oh, check it. Okay. I think I have everybody. Okay. All right. Thank you guys.
Thank you. Have a great day.
You too.